Ellen Skrmetti, welcome to Biscuits and Jam.
Thank you for having me. This is a treat.
So Ellen, we're here in Alabama doing this live at our offices. And you've been in Birmingham for a while now. Talk to me about like your hometown and your connection to Birmingham.
So we've lived here 8 years. I was born and raised in North Mississippi in a little town called Ripley.
Yeah.
And my husband and I lived in Jackson for 13 years after we graduated college. And we got married in Jackson and then realized that everyone we knew in Jackson lived there because they were either born there or they had family there. And we were the only people of our friends that weren't born in Jackson and didn't have family in Jackson. So we were like, maybe we should move.
Yeah.
So we first moved to Nashville. We lived in Nashville for a year. And now I joke that Jackson was too little, Nashville was too big, but Birmingham is just right.
It is.
It is. It is just right.
It's kind of like Nashville, 10 years ago or something. It's not too crowded. I mean,
It is-
knock wood, knock something. Yeah.
It's not. And I told my husband, too, it was so hard for us to find a house in Nashville. But then I was meeting people who said, oh, my gosh, my house has doubled in value or my house has tripled in value since I moved to Nashville. But they were 10 years ahead. And I said, Tim, we are 10 years too late to live in Nashville at our income level. So we need to find a place where we're either right on time or a little bit early for a housing boom.
Yeah.
And Birmingham was just down the road, and we loved that we could still have great restaurants. We could still have great schools for our kids. I was closer to my family in North Mississippi. We could be closer to his family in South Mississippi. So we've been here for 8 years, and we realized about 2 years ago, we looked at it and said, wow, we could live anywhere we wanted to. If we wanted to pick up and move, we could, but we don't want to. We really love being in Birmingham. So even though my husband has a remote job and I can do content from any backyard.
Yeah.
Because that's where I film most of my content. We just love it here. So we're staying.
Well, I love having you here.
Thank you.
And it's fun to do these, in person. And congrats on the book.
Thank you.
It's called Hey Jesus, It's Me.
Yes.
Just like your everything you're posting on Instagram and TikTok. And I love the subtitle, which is I have questions, comments, and concerns.
Who doesn't have questions, comments, and concerns for Jesus? Like, just is this how you meant it to be? And my goal was just to remind people that you can laugh and you can have a good time with Jesus and you can have a good time with your faith. A lot of times we are convicted and it can be a very serious journey, but you can laugh and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily something you see in church a whole lot. You don't, there's ministers that are funny and that'll crack jokes in their sermons, but it's not, that's not overall the vibe that you see in a lot of churches. Tell me about your church community and how they've kind of reacted to the book and to everything you're posting.
Well, of course, you're going to have people online who make comments, I can't believe you would do this, and this is sacrilege, and whatever, delete post, it's fine.
Yeah.
But truly, so much of mine comes from growing up with what I call a true Southern church lady for a mother.
Yeah.
And a lot of the comedy comes from listening to my mother and her girlfriends plan church socials, plan church gatherings and get-togethers, and the things you hear the little old ladies say in the church vestibule in the 80s. That is where so much of my comedy comes from, is all the things that happen before you get into this serious church service.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to speak to.
So there is actually a lot that's really funny about church. You just got to kind of peel back the layers a little bit.
Yes. I mean, it was, I say this in my stand-up show, that one day I came home from church and I asked my mother what are birthing hips.
Yeah.
And I was 10. And she said, how do you know about birthing hips? Well, I was leaving Sunday school and a group of little old ladies were coming out of, adult 4 Sunday school class. And they just stopped and told me, now, Ellen, those birthing hips are going to come in handy one day. So there is a lot of comedy.
When you were 10.
When I was 10. And the jokes on them, I have a skinny pelvis. And so they are, I was not able to tell them that. And then I asked my doctor, I said, are you flirting with me? because I'm having this man's baby and this is not the time. But yes, like the hour, like that's very serious, but peeling back everything else. I mean, one of my mother's friends still talks about how she was making tea for something and she had let it come to a boil. And she said, Ellen, your mamaw came in and saw that was boiling. She said, you would have thought that I was about to set the church on fire because I had boiled the tea. And so she just, anytime something comes up, she's like, well, don't boil the tea around your grandmother. Yeah. So there's humor. There's
everything.
There's a lot of humor that happens inside the goings on of a church. Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about where you came from and your hometown. I mean, this is your hometown now, but you grew up in Ripley, Mississippi.
Yes.
Which is really not far from Memphis. I'm from Memphis.
Okay.
So it's right down the road from Memphis in northwest Mississippi. Tell me a little bit about your hometown and, what, I don't know, the house and the neighborhood where you grew up.
So my parents, I'm so lucky, they still live in the house that I grew up in.
Oh,
which
really?
Is so great. I almost cried the other day. My mother called and told me, Dad and I are getting rid of our landline.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you do this to me? Are you going to want me to pack up my room next?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? So I'm very lucky that my children are getting to have Christmas and celebrations in the same room where my brother and I got to have Christmases and got to have celebrations. But Ripley, I graduated with about 95 kids. I tell everybody that'll listen that William Faulkner's great-granddaddy is buried behind the Pizza Hut. And that I'm from the true land of Faulkner. Oxford claims him because that's where he lived and did most of his work, but that's where his family was originally from. So it was a great small community. I grew up in the First Baptist Church, Ripley, and when they say it takes a village, I had my mother, but then I also had my friends' moms and my mom's friends that we all just took care of each other. And we were talking before we went on camera about what it was like when the ladies got together and they put together everyone's weddings and did all of that. So it was fun, but it was a lot of work watching those women making cheese straws and making cantaloupe balls. I mean, my mother was a master of fruit displays.
Really?
Before there were charcuterie boards. I mean, my mother, I have a picture where she could do a bride and groom and a watermelon.
Wow. Okay, so that's a special talent.
Yes. But then, like, before it was somebody's wedding, the refrigerator would be full of cubes of cheese and fruit and all this stuff that you could not touch. But so it was fun.
So talk to me about the church that you went to. What'd you say the name of it was?
First Baptist.
First
Ripley.
Baptist
Yes.
in Ripley.
Yes.
This has to be something that you've drawn on a lot for your comedy. I mean, this is what you grew up with. I mean, kind of set the scene for me. What does it look and feel like on a typical Sunday?
Okay, a typical Sunday, your mom wakes you up, you still oversleep, you go into your pantyhose drawer, and you try to find a pair of pantyhose that doesn't have a runner in it.
Okay.
And then you can't. All of them have a runner. And so then you look for a dress that's long enough to cover up the runner in your pantyhose. And then you look for clear nail polish, and you can't find any. So all you can find is pink. And you put some pink on your runner. And you just pray that that the nail polish holds it. And then you've got to put on your slip. And then you've got to put on your camisole. And you've got on your pantyhose and all of that, and then you put on your dress, and you're sweating, and you go into church, and first you have Sunday school, which is so fun because you get about 15 minutes of a lesson, and then you're just
hanging out with your friends.
You're just hanging out with your friends, and you're just talking to your Sunday school teacher, and then you've got about 15 minutes before big church starts, which was your big sermon, and we all called it big church. Oh, I also remember when I was a teenager, we finally got a McDonald's when I was in the 5th grade. And Mr. Robert Donovan, who has passed away, owned the McDonald's. And so we would always have sausage and biscuits before youth Sunday school, which was, I mean, in the 90s, a McDonald's sausage and biscuit was a delicacy.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Because you just didn't.
Special thing, yes.
Right. They opened school late that day because it was the first real restaurant that Ripley had. And the band played and the cheerleaders were there, and they had late opening of school so everyone could go get breakfast.
That is so crazy to think about that. Yeah.
Yes. So, and then the poor kids who were like, well, my mom said we're going to go tonight. And we were like, oh, your mom must not love you because she didn't take you to McDonald's for breakfast this morning when they opened. So then you had your big church.
Yeah.
And then for us, the youth, we all sat in the back, but my mother and my dad had their pew at the front of the church, and I can still picture my mother looking back to me to make sure that I was in position at church and acting right, and that I hadn't tried to miss big church or go home or hadn't done anything, but she would always look back and check to make sure that I was there. And I always was. Because I was scared of her wrath if I tried to be sneaky and miss.
Who's the funniest person in your family other than you?
My brother has a great dry sense of humor. And he loves comedians. So I love sending him like new comedians that are fun or people that I love. But our whole family's funny. Like we were just, when I think back of memories of our family, like we're laughing. You know, everyone really had a sense of humor. So yeah, I grew up with just a ton of laughter in our family.
It's in the gene pool.
Yes, it's absolutely in the genes pool. I'm the only person that got nerdy about it and went and took comedy classes to try to perfect it. But yeah, we're all funny.
There's such a connection between church and food, especially in the South. And you talk in the book about how your mom is really an incredible cook. And
Yes.
I think you called her the queen of Southern cooking or something like that.
Yeah, well, listen, she was the Daily Journal's Cook of the Week.
Okay, so this is which is a big deal.
Daily Journal, for those of you who don't know, I mean, that is the Tupelo newspaper. Okay? That is a regional paper. That is not...
So tell me about some of her specialties. Like, what are some of the things that you grew up with that, that she was kind of known for?
I can't think of anything that my mother could not make. Okay, one time my grandmother said, oh, just bring ice and bring cups and ice. And my mother said, I'm bringing something. And she said, well, bring a salad. And I can remember my mother brought every salad known to man. 7-layer salad, Jell-O salad, pretzel salad, just every salad you could imagine, just to prove the point, like, I will be bringing food to the family functions. But the place where she really shined was in her baking. She was such a great baker. I came in one day from school, and she had made 4 coconut cakes, and then there were pound cakes. And I said, Mama, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? And she said, somebody could be dying right now. I don't have anything in my freezer. So she was just getting it ready. But what happened, I talk about Sugar-Ree's Bakery in New Albany that's just up this, like 18 miles away from Ripley. I said to her one day, I said, Mom, you don't bake as many layer cakes as you used to. And she said, Sugar-Ree's makes exactly what I would make. Like, they make Southern layer cakes, so I don't have to make those. So now I can make other stuff. And I just keep a Sugar-Ree's in my freezer. So if I need a layer cake, I just use theirs. But then she can cook all of her other stuff.
Well, you talk in the book about how she made some really good yeast rolls.
Yes.
And this kind of became an issue.
It was an issue
in the family because there's a little bit of competition around the rolls. Is that right?
Yes. She took them to my grandmother's, which was her mother-in-law's, and everything was fine except my grandfather, who I called Pawpaw. Pawpaw said, Jenny Mae, these are the best rolls you ever made. And they were my mother's. And so that
didn't land well.
That did not land. I mean, that landed so good. And so finally I said, Mother, like, why can't we bring your yeast rolls? They are so good. And she said, well, remember, he said these are the best rolls you've ever made. Well, I was in college, and I said, well, you show me how to make them, and they'll be mine. And so she called her and said, Ellen wants to bring the rolls for dinner. Are you okay with that? And she's like, yeah, if you think she's ready. So she showed me her recipe, and I made them. On cue, my grandfather goes, Jenny Mae, you've done it again. And we had said, we had a plan. No matter what, these are mine. This is my mother who, the Lord's not done with her. The Lord is still working on her. She's close. She's not ready. Just 2 seconds. That was my recipe. Because because my grandmother was like, oh, well, that wasn't me. That was Ellen. She was so happy to succeed that these were my roles. And then my mom goes, that's my recipe. You never let me bring the rolls. I was like, Mommy, you just messed it all up. You couldn't.
Somebody should have given your grandfather maybe a tip that he didn't need to make that comment.
Yes,
Yeah.
so many times. I mean, I think that there's a lesson there that we women, we plan, but we forget to let the men in on what's happening. And so they don't mean to mess us up, but they will.
It's worth it if the rolls are that good. Then
They really are. And I put the recipe in the book. If you can't do it, do flowers at your church. If you can't follow that recipe, and it's okay, not everybody can follow a recipe card recipe, but my mother would use the dough and roll it out, and that's how she would do her cinnamon rolls.
Thinking about the holidays around your house, this was a big deal.
Big deal.
Big crowd?
Yes, especially when I was younger and everybody was alive.
Uh-huh, yeah.
We have less of a crowd now that some people are,
have moved
so
on.
rudely moving on.
Yes.
Yeah, but when I was little, it was always a big crowd. It was a lot of, and my whole family lived in Ripley or just in Walnut, Mississippi, the next town over. So it was just a lot of traveling because you had to catch everyone. Now you have people who say, oh, we're going to go do Thanksgiving with my family and then Christmas with his family, and then they may flip-flop it. But when everybody lives in the same town, you are expected to do, Christmas Eve at this grandmother's and Christmas Eve with that grandmother.
Yeah.
And then do something.
It's a full schedule.
It's a full schedule. It is full. And that is how actually my mother started to make the Christmas celebration for her side of the family. She made it a breakfast for dinner because she realized that between all of the Thanksgivings and all of the Christmases, everyone was tired of that traditional holiday meal.
Yeah.
And then that is really what got everyone excited about coming because they were going to get homemade biscuits and chocolate gravy and sausage gravy and red eye gravy and
all the gravies.
All the gravies you could ever imagine. And so that made everybody excited because they were going to get to see everybody but get a different meal.
Sounds like a Super Bowl at your house.
It was. And my mother, it was almost like the day after Thanksgiving, like she just never stopped making things. Like there were just things that she had to have. Like she made a fruitcake that everyone loved. I can still remember I was coming home from college and she said, could you stop by a liquor store and get me some brandy? Because she didn't want to go in the liquor store.
She didn't want to be seen in the liquor store?
No. A good God-fearing Baptist and are you crazy? And the town was dry.
But she needed it for that fruitcake or for something.
She needed it.
Yeah.
She would need it for something,
Yeah.
yes. And so she was like, listen, just on your way home, get me some brandy or get me some sherry to cook, just something to cook with, okay? And I was like, you don't want to go get it? Shut up. Just get it for me.
Well, there's probably one liquor store in town or the one that everybody went to, so you're going to be seen.
Well, Ripley Ripley was dry until about 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So there was zero alcohol. So if you were seen in Tupelo buying alcohol, that news would beat you home, as we say.
Yeah. So, all right, Ellen, I want to talk a little bit about how you kind of launched your career. And some of this has to do with people moving on.
Yes.
And it has to do with football season.
Yes.
And about 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, Queen Elizabeth was moving on.
And here I am.
And so you had been creating content and you'd been, doing a lot of stuff on social media. But a lot of things kind of came together in that moment.
Yes.
And you did a series of posts about if the Queen had died in the South.
Yes.
Talk to me about that and what brought all that together and why do you think it took off the way it did?
Well, I had been posting for 9 months with not a lot of traction.
Yeah.
But enough to keep me going. And I tell people, if you're doing this, do not stop. It could be the next one, but if you stop, you'll never know which one it is. My husband and I were going to the Little London in Homewood. that has now closed. I don't know if you remember, they had a double-decker bus, and one of them was from London, and they created like a traditional pub. People were going there to watch Arsenal games because my husband loves Arsenal, and that was helping us survive until SEC football could get started. And my husband said, hey, there are no soccer matches this weekend. And I said, why? And he said, well, because the Queen died, so out of respect, they're not playing any games this week or this weekend. And I said, well, good Lord, if she had died in Ripley, she would already be in the ground and we would just be carrying on about our days. And he said, not everybody does it like y'all, because he is amazed at how fast we get it done. And so I just, on my way to work, I did a very quick If the Queen Died in the South and just recreated the phone calls I've heard my mother make throughout my childhood, which is, she's not doing good. If she goes today, we can get it done tomorrow. But we've got this going on. Like, how are we going to work this out? Because we can't. This is happening. And people said, you're so rude. You wouldn't say that if it was your brother. Well, this isn't my brother. I've never met the Queen. So I don't know that she's offended by me. Right. And, if you're, 100 and passing away, we're going to talk about
plans.
Is she going to make it today? And our freezers are ready. Mm-hmm. And I love that some of the comments, some people would say, I always wondered how y'all did it so fast. Y'all just have food in your freezer. I said, we've got food in the freezer. Their dresses in the back of the closet, ready to go in a McRae's bag, probably. Do you remember McRae's department store?
No.
We had a McRae's in Mississippi, and so her funeral dress has already been picked out. She's probably already written her obituary. She's already gone to the funeral home and picked out all of her music. So you just have to press a button and get the funeral ready. And my mother has even told me, your daddy and I have already planned our funerals, so you'll just let them know when we've passed, and we have it all planned and paid for. So just all you two have to do is show up and smile and greet everyone.
And there are a lot of people that might think that that's kind of morbid, but really in the South, I mean, it is,
It's unavoidable.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. So why not make sure that it happens the way you want it to happen? I can remember at my grandmother's funeral, she had the most beautiful setup. She had a beautiful spray, and then she had two pillars that coordinated on either side. And during the funeral, my mother leaned over and went, you see that? I want that. That's what I want at my funeral. But then also put one of my quilts over my casket too. I want one of my quilts. Okay, I'll point it out when we get to the house, which quilt I want.
And you're expected to be taking notes.
Yes,
yes.
Yeah. And so I know that we will have two arrangements flanking the casket. One of her handmade quilts, and then a beautiful arrangement that matches the two. And then all of the other arrangements will just be on the side of the church.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm aware.
There's
a
plan.
I know my job.
There was a great book that came out, at least 10, 15 years ago.
Being Dead is No Excuse.
Being Dead is No Excuse.
Yes.
Which is written by two women from Mississippi.
Yes.
Gaden Metcalf and Charlotte Hayes. And they did a great job of they knew,
My publisher.
Exactly what you're talking about.
I was so fortunate that when I had my stint, I worked at the Everyday Gourmet in Jackson, Mississippi, which every lady if you don't know which direction your career should go, if you were in the 90s, you should go work at the Everyday Gourmet, and you'll just meet some of the most wonderful people in Jackson. They came and did a cooking demonstration, and my publisher and my book agent said, Ellen, this funeral stuff is so great. Would you want to do a funeral book? And I said, funeral book has been done.
Yeah, it is the funeral book has been done. Yes.
I said, the funniest and best funeral book in the world has been done. The guidebook is there. I will not be competing with it. But I will talk about my funeral experiences because when my mother-in-law passed away, my husband's Catholic and in South Mississippi, and my mother was on the way and she filled up the cooler with food to bring for the funeral. And I called her and I said, Mother, slow your horses. It's not for another 10 days. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I said, he wants to wait.
He comes from a different part of Mississippi, and they do it differently.
They do it differently.
Yeah.
And then also for the Catholic Church, you have your funeral in the Catholic Church. Well, the church, if they have something going on, it's like, well, we can plan your funeral on this day.
Right.
They're not just ready to just open up the church for a funeral at any moment. She happened to have a friend whose daughter was getting married in Tuscaloosa, and they were best friends, and she said, please, I've got to get her married, and please don't do this until I can get back. So we had about 11 or so days in between, and then my sweet mother called me and said, this is the best. Ellen, do I need to get your daddy one of those beanies? And I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, he's Catholic. Don't they wear those beanies? I said, Mama, that's called a yarmulke. And that is the Jewish faith. It's not here. But I love that my parents were like, whatever it is, we're going to do it.
We'll do it.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And so my husband still is like, I wish you just would have said yes. Like, why? I wish you would have said, yes, Mom, I'll have him one. I'll meet you in the parking lot and have my dad. He was like, if your dad would have walked in that church in a yarmulke, that would have healed me, Ellen. That would have. And every time I thought about my mother passing, I would then get this visualization of my father-in-law. He goes, it would have healed me instantly. And I said, I'm so sorry. I should have.
Well, I love all this funeral talk.
There was missing funeral humor, and here I am. Send me, Lord. I'm here.
You've got a whole chapter in the book about it, and there's a lot more where that came from. But I love it. It's important to be able to joke about it, and because nothing's harder.
It is the hardest. It is the hardest time in a person's life. But it is proof positive that with time, all things, you can find humor. In all things with humor. And again, it is something, we're not talking about funerals where someone has passed unexpectedly or someone has passed before what we perceive to be before their time. We are talking about when someone who has passed, who has lived a very full life, who you're happy to see that
that's right.
They've completed this purpose, their purpose on the earth, and we're thankful that we got to experience life with them. And also there's a hope that we're going to see them again. So those are the funerals that we are laughing and joking about. Because I asked at my great aunt's funeral, I said, why are y'all laughing? Why are y'all having a good time? My Aunt Eudora has died. And they're like, we don't ever see these people, Ellen. Mm-hmm. And we want to have a good time. And she would want us. And
it's a celebration of her.
It's a celebration of her. And we never get to see each other anymore. So we're going to have a good time and send her off. So
that's right.
That was a good reminder. And that let me know I could do if the Queen died in the South.
Yeah. All right, Ellen, we're going to do a little something that we call the jam session. Okay, biscuits or cornbread?
Biscuits.
Bulldogs or rebels?
Bulldogs.
You didn't have
but
to
I
think
do
about
love y'all's tailgates and your rush.
Sweet or unsweet?
Sweet.
Yeah. Boiled peanuts, yay or nay?
Not for me, but y'all are welcome to them.
Okay.
Y'all are.
The perfect summer sandwich is blank.
Fresh bread, mayonnaise. Perfectly, like Wright's bacon and a tomato. Salt and pepper.
That's it.
That's it.
The best barbecue joint in Birmingham is blank.
Oh, in Birmingham.
Or it could be back home. Could be in Mississippi too.
Look, my favorite, the best barbecue in the world is sweet Mr. John Dickerson, who has passed away, who would call his mother, his wife and my mother were best friends, Miss Wanda, and Wanda would call Mom and go, John's smoking stuff. Do you want some? And it would be wrapped in the Southern Sentinel.
Yeah.
And so that is by far the best barbecue out there. And the second best would be West Side Barbecue in New Albany, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yes.
West Side Barbecue.
West Side Barbecue. They also do layer cakes. I mean, New Albany is just layer cake per capita rich.
Okay.
Because you have Sugaries on downtown, but then you also have West Side Barbecue. They do a banana cake. Do you see how I'm getting lower? Like I'm like lowering my voice. Like I'm telling y'all something y'all need to know. Honey, they do a banana cake. I don't know what they do, but it's a cream cheese icing with a little bit of pecan. It is so moist. And I know people don't like that word, but I'm like, what else am I supposed to say? Like, that is a descriptive word in the dictionary. I mean, I have a friend who's like, oh, don't say moist. Don't say, and I'm like,
How else are you going to describe a banana cake? Yeah.
It doesn't have a dry crumb. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, anyway, it's heaven. So they also have amazing layer cakes at Westside Barbecue.
Okay, a little detour there.
A little sorry.
But worthwhile.
You knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen.
Worthwhile. All right, the best fast food fried chicken in the South is where?
Kroger.
Oh, I love it.
Kroger.
Okay.
Or a gas station.
Yeah.
Kroger or a gas station, not a chain. If it's like crunchy, crispy chicken with like the K's, that's corporate chicken. If you can go to a gas station that's owned by a family and they put the grandma to work, get their chicken. Also the pig.
Yeah.
The pig. They don't do Sundays anymore, though. That hurts me. You can only get it at lunch.
Well, and I would put in a bid for Publix, but this is questions for you.
Okay, I get that families can be destroyed over Publix chicken. Okay, families are being torn together, but I didn't say what I didn't say.
Okay. My favorite comedian right now is blank.
Can I name like 5?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Leanne Morgan, because I love her, and she is showing that Southern women are funny, and our stories are funny to tell because we're both just telling our things, and so I love her, and I just want her to go as high as she can go, and then just keep pulling the rest of us up. I love her. Zarna Garg, who is an Indian comedian, I absolutely love her. She was a mother of 3 and started doing comedy on a subway. And she's blowing up. Nate Bargatze, he was required, when I took classes at Second City, he was required viewing for classes just to see how tight his stuff was. And then as I was watching one of his specials on Netflix, I realized he was from Middle Tennessee. His cousin was my daughter's kindergarten teacher when we lived in Tennessee. So he doesn't know me yet, but he doesn't know that when he meets me, we are going to rake up Ken.
Yeah, you're basically family.
We're basically family. So those are my favorites. And then also I love like a Bill Burr because he's so grouchy, and I love a grouchy comedian.
That's a great list.
Yes.
All right, my favorite Southern dessert is blank.
Banana pudding made with a custard base.
Last one. The most Southern thing about me is blank.
I use hot rollers. Hot rollers.
Oh, that's great.
My hot rollers. Yes.
That's perfect. I want to ask you about, you've got this book out now, and you're continuing to do all of the stuff that the videos you're doing on Instagram, but you're also you're going out and going on the road.
Yes.
And you're talking to crowds and you're doing stand-up gigs. And I'm curious, what are some of the things that you hear from people when you get the chance to interact with them? Because, a lot of times you're behind your phone and you're doing it at home and you're doing it in the backyard. But when you're out on the road and you're meeting people, what are they saying to you?
Meeting people on the road is the best because all you get are likes.
Yeah.
And you see that, but you don't actually hear laughter. So you don't really know how something has resonated with someone. And I love to get to meet them on the road. And I've heard everything from, we're the same. You could be in my family. We're best friends. You don't know it yet, which I love. The other thing is, I've had people come and say, I was going through such a hard time, but you made me laugh and you helped me get through it. So that's truly, laughter is medicine. And so that is why I keep doing it. And I love just to hear people say, maybe it's a reel that didn't get a lot of views and didn't do very well, but they'll say, oh, I love that stuff. And I'm like, you did? Because in my mind, maybe it only got 50,000 views, so I just think nobody saw it. And I'm like, okay, well, just because the algorithm didn't love it doesn't mean somebody else didn't. So I find myself now, sometimes I'll do a reel. Well, first off, let me back up. If you think your reel is going to go viral, it will not.
Yeah.
That is the kiss of death. If you're like, oh my gosh, y'all, this is so good. This is so good. And I spent 2 hours editing this and it's going to be amazing. It's going to get about 10,000 views. and about 4 likes and 7 shares. Now, if you just throw something together and you're like running out the door and you didn't do your makeup,
that's the one that'll catch you by surprise.
That's going to catch it. But sometimes I do things and I just kind of know, like, this is very niche. So people probably, but just the faithful will think that this is funny. But then again, I just did the Hey Jesus, It's Me, Where Are All the Mammals? And that's gone viral. And I thought that just, this will just make a few women laugh who are maybe having a bad day.
And that one,
it's blowing up.
And
Praise
that one
the
took
Lord.
off.
Yeah. And I needed that because I hadn't had a lot take off. Because the algorithm doesn't like old accounts. The algorithm likes new accounts. It's hard out here in the algorithm.
But when you're on the road, it's got to be, to hear that room laugh. Has got to, really feel good, because the algorithm is, the likes are nice, but, you're not getting this kind of connection in the same way.
You're
right?
not. I was about to go on stage, and one of the openers just commented that the person on stage, like, he's not getting as many laughs as he normally gets. And I said, well, it would be hard for him to get laughs. I mean, they're here, they're here to see me. I said, so I think he's getting plenty of laughs. And she was like, oh, okay. And I said, he's doing an amazing job. And I said, here's the thing. I get heckled in the comments, so I get love on stage.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of hecklers that come to see me because they know they're coming to an Ellen Skrmetti show. But now I will get, like, some very loud hottie toddies and very loud, like, war eagles. Like, they will start yelling their battle cries, which is hysterical. Which I love. But it is true that, I get heckled because people make mean comments in the comment section, but I get love on stage because we're all just there to laugh together. It means so much. And I love to travel and meet all of these women and the fun men that come with them to shows. It's such a good time. And the whole reason I started Instagram was to have a stand-up career. I've always loved stand-up comedy.
It's funny, it was kind of a means to an end for you. Yeah.
It was, because one day before class started, my instructor, her name is Tamale Sepp. She has bright red hair, and so she goes by the stage name Tamale. She said, before it started, she said, guys, these classes are really filling up because we have so many people that went viral during COVID, and now they're getting booked into clubs, but they don't quite know joke structure. They don't quite know how to do an actual show. So they're coming to us to learn how to convert their bits into jokes on stage. So when you guys get your chance to headline, you guys are going to be ready. And it hit me. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I actually have been taking stand-up writing classes, and I know how to write stand-up. I just have no audience. And I thought, well, let me just turn my stand-up that I've been writing, let me turn that into Instagram bits, and I'll find my crazy women, and then maybe if I say, hey, I'm going to be at this comedy club, then maybe they'll come see me. So I really took everything in the opposite direction to try to build a stand-up career.
Well, you definitely found them.
Thank you. It's been amazing. I love meeting people who, sometimes people will say, if I do, like, Southern Mom does this, they'll say, like, well, we do that up north, or we do that over here. And I'm like, I only have the one accent, so I'm not going to try to imitate your accent. I'm just doing it from my perspective. But it has really resonated across the country.
Well, it definitely has. And it's great to see, and I would encourage people to go out and see you.
Thank you.
When you're on the road. You had a whole chapter in this book about caramel cake.
Yes.
Just tell me quickly, like, why caramel cake deserves a whole chapter and why that was so important to you and why it's so important to your family.
Okay. Well, anyone who's ever made caramel cake understands that it deserves its own chapter.
Yeah.
Because you can't, you've got to, I tell people, like, it takes 15 minutes and a rededication of your heart to the Lord to make a good caramel icing. But especially in the 80s and 90s, every church had caramel cake ladies. You had certain ladies who were just really good at making it. I was lucky that I had both of my grandmothers and my aunt, Frances. All three of them made caramel cake. So I had just an abundance of this delicacy. And it wasn't until both of my grandmothers passed and then my Aunt Frances brought the caramel cake in a 9x13. It wasn't in a layer. I remember thinking, wait a minute, this is gonna end one day, this train of caramel cakes. And, my grandmother, she showed me how to make it when I was 19. And I watched her, but I thought she was going to be around forever. And I just didn't think I really needed to continue to perfect it. And I asked her, I said, Grandma, listen, as she was passing away, she was in the hospital. I said, Grandma, your funeral's on Friday. I'm kidding. That was a joke. I'm just kidding.
You asked her about her caramel cake.
I asked her about her caramel cake, and she said, oh, it's in the notebook, and you're going to be fine. And she said, remember, it took me 17 tries. And you're going to get it. You're going to get it. Well, I went, and every recipe in that red notebook was different. And people would bring us recipes. And they're like, here's your caramel cake recipe. I never could get it right. And, it's like, no, you couldn't, because this isn't it. Well, thankfully, Miss Bonnie Jones, who had made caramel cake with my grandmother, she wrote everything down. So after she had passed away, she wrote my mother a letter and said, Martha, I just wanted to share. These are all the steps to making the caramel cake, and I just wanted to share them with you. I know that you have them, but I just wanted to share this great day because we made the cake, and she made me take it home to my husband, and it was amazing. And I was like, this is it. And it took me, once I had to learn my oven, but once I had my oven going, my caramel icing recipe is you have a pan of sugar that you are burning in a cast iron skillet, and you have another pan that you're bringing to a soft boil with cream and sugar, and you're bringing that to a soft boil. The key is that you have your sugar burnt, and I mean 2 seconds before it's burned, and that it's at the soft boil stage, and you can pour that sugar into the soft boiled mixture, mix it until your arm wants to fall off, and then 20 more stirs. Then you can add in your butter and your vanilla. And so it's just a symphony that a lot of people just don't understand.
And the timing is everything.
The timing is everything. And you have to have your cake layers ready to be iced. You have to have everything ready at a moment's notice. And also, it's just one of those recipes. I love Southern living. I love what Food TV has done. But not everyone is meant to be a caramel cake lady.
No.
And we've grown up in the age of television. Everyone thinks that they should be able to make everything. I mean, there was a time I thought I could make puff pastry. And they had me thinking that I could do that. And I've just had to accept.
You just need one person in the family.
You need one person. And you need each person in the family and each one teach one and learn how to do it. But it's a dying art. It is, because we've just become so fast and so quick with how we do things. A well-made caramel cake is just not a tradition I want to see die out. So I thought it needs a chapter so we could all learn about it.
I'm glad you're keeping it going.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, just last question for you, Ellen. What does it mean to you to be Southern?
Oh, to be Southern, it means, you're nice when you don't want to be. If you're tired and you're feeling cranky, or like if so-and-so's got some party going on and you're tired and you don't want to go, you're still you're gonna get ready and go, because they're gonna do the same thing for you. And you want people at your party, so you're gonna go to their party. It's, putting on your lipstick when you don't want to, because it's gonna make you feel better. And you're gonna see somebody at the grocery store. Maybe when you're having a bad day, but you're still gonna show people love. And it's, hospitality. Mississippi's the hospitality state, but I think that we're the hospitality region. So it's showing people hospitality, even if you don't feel like it, even when you're tired. And when everybody comes over, you act like you're not tired, and you're smiling and just so happy that they're there, because you can rest when the crowd leaves.
Beautifully said. And congrats on everything.
Thank you.
You've got a great book out. You're doing such funny stuff, and I hope you've got some fun dates coming up on the road.
I absolutely do. I will be in Atlanta, actually doing a Hustle, Hustle, Pray, which is my mantra, and it's for anyone who wants to learn, let me take that back. It's not for anyone who wants to learn, but I want to share with other people how I went from being, a mom and sales rep to living my dream. And so it is just a humorous talk about how I got here and how other people can also hustle, hustle, pray, and reach their dreams. And then I'll be at Zany's in Nashville. And then I have a date in Huntsville and Naples. We're working on Houston. So if you go to ellenskrmetti.com, I keep all my dates there. And nice. I also have a newsletter called Committee on Committees.
Oh, even better.
Even better. Yeah. Join the Committee on Committees and get my newsletter and keep up on my dates.
Well, congrats on the book. It's called Hey Jesus, It's Me. I have questions, comments, and concerns.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for being on Biscuits and Jam.
Thank you. It's been a treat.